Not because it was funny, but because they never imagined you'd stand again. They mocked your wounds like they were tattoos of failure. They pointed at your scars as proof that you'd been broken. They whispered your name, not with fear, but with pity, because they believed the fire had killed you. What they didn't know was that pain doesn't destroy monsters, it breeds them. You didn't cry out when they cut you. You didn't beg when they left. You took every insult, every betrayal, every stone they threw at your back, and you swallowed it whole, until silence was all you had left. But silence is not surrender. Silence is power under pressure. It is thunder waiting to strike. You stopped explaining, you stopped defending, you stopped justifying your existence to people too small to understand the chaos inside you, because you realized you weren't meant to be understood, you were meant to be felt. They thought your silence was weakness. They didn't know it was the calm before vengeance. Now you move different. No more proving, no more chasing, no more explaining your worth to the same mouths that once laughed at your pain. You walk into rooms and shift the air, not with words, but with presence. You don't scream, you don't beg to be seen. You let your silence scream for you, because the loudest force in this world is the one that no longer needs permission to exist. And that's what you've become. You are not their entertainment. You are not their punching bag. You are not their charity case or second thought. You are consequence, wrapped in silence, armored in scars, fueled by everything they thought would finish you. They called you weak, so you became indestructible. They called you broken, so you became unrecognizable. They tried to bury you in shame, so you built a throne from everything they left behind. Now, when they see you, they feel the weight of every time they laughed, every word they used to cut you, every smirk they wore while watching you fall, and they wonder why you don't speak. Because what would you even say? They don't deserve your voice. They deserve your silence, the kind that haunts them, the kind that grows louder every time they realize you don't care anymore. You've become too powerful to explain, too focused to argue, too silent to be ignored. Let them talk. Let them spin stories. Let them pretend they knew you all along. Let them choke on the silence they once laughed at. Because you're not here to perform. You're here to unfold, to rise, to dominate quietly, until the world has no choice but to bow. Let them drown in your silence. Let your silence speak louder than your past ever did, because monsters don't roar when they return. They whisper, and the world listens. They didn't just watch you fall. They celebrated it. Every crack in your armor, every tremble in your voice, every moment your soul bled through your silence. They smiled, they pointed, they laughed. They mistook your suffering for entertainment. They twisted your pain into punchlines, not because they were strong, but because your struggle reminded them of everything they were too weak to face in themselves. They mocked your journey because if you ever rose, if you ever came back, they knew you'd become something they couldn't comprehend. something too silent, too dangerous, too far beyond their reach. And so they clung to the illusion that you were broken, that you were done, that you were beneath them. But what they didn't know was that pain is an architect, and while they danced in your downfall, you were building in the shadows, not a comeback, but a rebirth. You learned to suffer in silence. You learned to walk alone in silence. You learned to grow in silence, not out of choice, but because no one listened, because no one cared, because every time you screamed for help, all you heard was laughter. So you stopped screaming, you stopped explaining, you stopped opening your soul to people too shallow to hold it. And in that silence, you became something else, something colder, something harder, something that didn't need validation, didn't need saving, didn't need them. Now you walk differently. No noise, no excuses, just that slow, steady thunder that follows the storm. You don't raise your voice. You raise your standards. You raise the temperature of every room you enter, not with rage, but with presence. You became unshakable because you stopped letting clowns decide the worth of your crown. You realized the truth. Your pain was never a curse. It was the crucible. It refined you. It reshaped you. It burned away your need to be understood and left behind a force that only silence could carry. Because silence doesn't beg. Silence doesn't explain. Silence doesn't break. Silence endures. Silence haunts. Silence dominates. And now, they see you. Not the you they remember. Not the one they laughed at. But the one you became when no one was watching. And they feel it. That cold weight pressing on their chest. That realization that the one they left behind is the one who now walks in shadows above them. You don't speak, you don't argue, you don't give them the luxury of closure. Because why would you? They never respected your voice. Let them choke on your silence. Let them drown in the stillness they once mocked. Because in that silence lives everything they tried to bury. The rage, the vengeance, the evolution. You didn't rise to prove them wrong. You rose because the fire in you never died. And now it burns. Silently, ruthlessly, unapologetically. So let them talk. Let them speculate. Let them try to fill the void your silence leaves behind. Because you're not here to be loud. You're here to be undeniable. You're here to move in silence and let the world scream in your wake.